What's going on, y'all? This is CJUFCPicks, the Smoke Sesh. If you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. Make sure to like the video. It only takes 2 seconds to like the video, ladies and gentlemen. It definitely helps me out, and it definitely supports the channel. So like the video, subscribe, and comment on the video who your picks are, who your underdogs are, your lock of the card is. Comment on the video down below. Don't be shy. Don't be scared. I don't bite. I even like the haters. If you're a hater, comment on the video. I would love to see your comments. Tonight, we are breaking down UFC Fight Night, Sao Paulo, Brazil, Almeida versus Lewis in a 14 fight card. 14 fights on the card, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of fights to go over and talk about here. But first, let's do a small recap of what happened today. Yes, today from UFC 294, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski 2. Let's go with the first fight. I had my first pick correct. Shara Magomedov defeated Bruno Silva. Everyone thought that fight was not going the distance, but I did say in my breakdown in my last video that Bruno Silva is tough, so he might last all 3 rounds. I did predict a knockout for Shara Magomedov, but he's still a little green, he's still learning, and his competition is only going to get tougher. So he might get fraud checked down the road, but he does seem very solid. He does seem like UFC caliber, and he's probably someone to look out for in this middleweight division. And that was my first pick correct. The next fight, it was Victoria Dudakova versus Jen Yu Frey. I did pick Victoria Dudakova, and I did pick her to win by decision. Um, Jen Yu Frey, I think, should be cut from the UFC. She's only getting older, she's getting slower, and she's got 10 losses now on her record. She's 11-10, I believe. So yeah, definitely probably won't see Jen Frey in the future here. And Dudakova, she's also still learning. She's still growing. She's still young. So she is still a prospect in the women's strawweight division. So we'll see how she goes in her next fight. Here, the next fight, ladies and gentlemen, was a parlay buster for those of you who picked Nathaniel Wood, as I did. I picked Nathaniel Wood, but I did not bet the fight. I stayed far away from this fight because I knew it was going to be close. Muhammad Naimov, he came out with the victory there. He impressed a lot of people. He definitely impressed me, so I'm definitely going to look out for him. He might be a dark horse in the featherweight division. Who knows? Nathaniel Wood, he could still do some things in this featherweight division. Is he going to be a champion anytime soon? Probably not, but next fight, ladies and gentlemen, was another parlay buster, another shocker right here for me. Mike Breeden with the late knockout in the third round against Anshul Jubli. I did pick Anshul Jubli to win the fight. I don't think Mike Breeden is still good. I don't care what anyone says. He does have that dog in him, but 3 losses in a row before this win, still not a good look. Jubli, to me, he was winning that whole fight, and then I just think his mental toughness just went down the drain and lost the fight, unfortunately. And he lost my pick there. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, I did pick this one correct. It was Cedric Dumas versus Abu Azaitar. Dumas did win by decision. It was kind of a boring fight. I think Dumas still has a lot to learn and a lot to grow on. Azaitar just looking old in there, man. He's not looking himself anymore, and I think that layoff did affect him there. He did not fight for almost 3 years, 2.5 years. So Dumas, he's cool. I don't think he's gonna be a champion anytime soon, though. Probably at all. Um, Dumas is, he's on the fence. Like I said, he's still growing and he's still learning, but he did win my pick there. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, was a very controversial and bad fight, in my opinion, because this was going to be a very exciting fight. I'm talking about Victor Henry versus Javid Basharat, ending in a no contest, ladies and gentlemen. Um, I believe Javid Basharat was winning that fight up until that point, and I think he was going to win that fight either way. Hopefully, they do rebook that fight, and I hope that Victor Henry does recover from that low blow. It didn't look too good, according to what the commentators were saying, that he was thrown up backstage after the fight. He went to the hospital. He was getting X-rays on his testicles. So my prayers go to you, Victor Henry, and hopefully um, we see a rematch between you guys and Victor Henry versus Javid Basharat. The next fight, ladies and gentlemen, another fight that I thought was not going the distance. Another fight I thought we were going to see a knockout, but it went to a decision. It was Trevor Peek against Mohamed Yahya. Trevor Peek, guys, he's going to get exposed. If not, he's already exposed, in my opinion. He's not that good. He is not that good. He's always throwing wild strikes, no technique. He's always leaving himself for submissions, and he's always looking for a knockout. He's always headhunting, which is not good in my opinion. Muhammad Yahya ain't that bad. He's not that bad, you know. He had his moments in there, but Trevor Peek was my pick. I did pick him to win by knockout. Um, but in the end, he did win the fight, and he won by decision, and he was my pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, was a very close fight. Tim Elliott versus Muhammad Makayev. I don't think I'm gonna fade Muhammad Makayev ever again. We all know he's a wrestling, grappling beast. He's a submission artist. Tim Elliott did have him in trouble a couple times. Muhammad Makayev does have close fights, so he is gonna get fraud checked one day, in my opinion. He is still gonna get fraud checked, but Tim Elliott was my dog of the card, and unfortunately, that did not hit for me. Um, Muhammad Makayev submitted him in the third round, and I lost that pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, that was an easy pick. That was an easy lock for me, in my opinion. It was Said Nurmagomedov against Muin Gafurov. Said Nurmagomedov doing another guillotine choke submission victory, and that was an easy pick for me. I did pick him to win. I did pick him to win by submission, so that was a good call on my end. And Said Nurmagomedov is a problem. He's a problem for anyone in this bantamweight division, and I cannot wait to see his next fight. He did not take any damage in that fight, so I do expect him to see him in the next 3 to 6 months. The next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is another lock, another easy pick, and I picked it this whole fight correct. Ikram Alexerov versus Warley Alves. Ikram Alexerov knocked him out in the first round. That was my prediction. That was my pick, and he was an easy win. He's a problem in the middleweight division, and he's going to be someone to look out for. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, it was another controversial fight, another controversial call by the doctor, and whoever that doctor was should be fired and should never work in the UFC ever again. Johnny Walker versus Magomed Ankalaev. Johnny Walker and Magomed Ankalaev, they were having a really good fight up until that foul or that headbutt or whatever it was. I kind of forgot what happened there because it was forgettable, but it was a bad call. I think Magomed Ankalaev would have won that fight, and unfortunately there was another no contest, so that pick just got washed. Another fight that I called, and he was my lock of the card, ladies and gentlemen. Hamzat Chimaev dominating Kamaru Usman. I believe he dominated him in the first round. The second round was kind of close. In the third round, I believe Chimaev won as well. So Chimaev, a beast. I believe he's going to be next in line for the UFC middleweight champion. So watch out, Sean Strickland. I don't think your championship reign is going to last long because Chimaev is coming after you. And if that fight happens, I am picking Chimaev. I'm telling you that right now. And then the main event, ladies and gentlemen. I said in my breakdown that I knew and the accurate pick was going to be Islam Makhachev to win. I did not expect a knockout in the first round. I did not expect that at all. I thought Volkanovski was going to be in there for at least 2, 3 rounds. He is tough enough. He is a featherweight champion, but Islam Makhachev has proven he is on another freaking level. And still, UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev. And that was the recap. Let's get to the breakdown for UFC Fight Night. Almeida versus Lewis. Make sure to light one up, ladies and gentlemen. I got some pineapple cheesecake right here. This is some fire weed right here. We're going to do some fire picks, a fire breakdown for you all. UFC Fight Night, Almeida versus Lewis. First fight, ladies and gentlemen, is a banger. We're starting off with a banger here. Scheduled in the men's bantamweight division, we have Daniel Marcos versus Victor Hugo. Daniel Marcos, he's 15-0, undefeated. He's 30 years old, 5'7", 69-inch reach. Then we have Victor Hugo. He's 24-4, 30 years old, 5'7", 71.5-inch reach. And I do not expect this fight to go the distance. Daniel Marcos, he's been in the UFC for a little bit now. He came from the Contender Series. His last 2 fights were pretty good, and he's pretty good himself. Good grappler. He's got good striking, and he's got good takedowns. Victor Hugo, he is a problem, and he is someone to look out for. He's 24-4. He's been on a tear lately, and he's making his UFC debut. He's also coming from the Contender Series. Both of these guys are 30 years old, and they're pretty similar in their styles. I gotta go with the more UFC experienced fighter in Daniel Marcos. Even though Victor Hugo has 28 fights on his record compared to Daniel Marcos, 15 fights, but he's undefeated and he's a very good fighter. This would be his third fight in the UFC, and if you count the Contender Series, this would be his fourth time inside the octagon. Victor Hugo did have that impressive submission victory against Eduardo Mateus Torres Colt, and that was about 2 weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's a fast turnaround. Daniel Marcos probably had a full camp. Give me Daniel Marcos to win this fight in a very good sneaky banger. Daniel Marcos probably wins by knockout or decision. That's my pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's lightweight division, we have Kauê Fernandes versus Marc Diakiese. Kauê Fernandes, he's 8-1. His age is unavailable. He's 5'9", and his reach is unavailable. Then we have Marc Diakiese. He's 16-7, 30 years old, 5'10" with a 73-inch reach. We all know Marc Diakiese has been in the UFC for a little while now. This is Kauê Fernandes' debut. He's only had 9 fights compared to Marc Diakiese, 16-7. Diakiese is riding a 2-fight losing streak. Lost to Michael Johnson and lost to Joel Alvarez. But we all know Marc Diakiese is the veteran in this spot. He's only 30 years old. He's not old at all. He's still in his prime. He's got good wrestling, good grappling, and is definitely has fought the tougher competition. Kauê Fernandes is coming from the LFA, um, and he does finish his people. He does finish people. His last two fights were by knockout TKO. But I gotta go with the more experienced fighter here, the one who's more proven. The, I'm going with the veteran Marc Diakiese to win this fight, but I'm not 100% on that pick, so do not take my word for it. But I do believe Marc Diakiese wins this fight, and I think he gets it done by decision. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is another sneaky banger fight. There's a lot of good fights on this card. Do not sleep on this card. UFC Fight Night, Sao Paulo, Brazil. We got Lucas Alexander versus David Onama. Lucas Alexander, he's 8-3, 28 years old, 5'11", 73-inch reach. David Onama, he's 11-2, 29 years old, 5'11", with a 74-inch reach. I like both of these fighters, but I like David Onama just a little bit better. He's got knockout power. He can finish you. He's fought the tougher competition, and he's been in the UFC longer. He's got more UFC experience. Compared to Lucas Alexander, he's only had two fights in the UFC. This will be his third fight. He did lose his UFC debut against Joanderson Brito, but we all know Joanderson Brito ain't no joke. And then he did win against Steven Peterson, but Peterson, he's not a top caliber UFC fighter. I think David Onama is going to win this fight. That's my pick, and I think he gets it done inside the distance, either by knockout, TKO, or submission. And I might throw him in a parlay, depending on his number. I have not looked at any lines whatsoever, but I'm going with David Onama to win inside the distance, and that's my pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is scheduled in the women's strawweight division. We have Montserrat Conejo Ruiz versus Eduarda Moura. Montserrat Conejo Ruiz, he's 10-3, 30 years old, 5 foot even, 61-inch reach. Eduarda Moura, she's undefeated at 9-0, 29 years old, 5'6", with a 66.9-inch reach, and she's making her UFC debut. You already know I have to get my hit it. Hey, you should too. This is a smoke break fight, in my opinion. Don't really care about this fight, but I have to say that Eduarda Moura is a prospect. She is someone to look out for. Even though she's making her UFC debut, she's very good, as we saw on the Contender Series. Montserrat Conejo Ruiz has lost her last two fights. The last time she won a fight was against Cheyenne Vlismas 2 years and 6 months ago. Cheyenne Vlismas is not that good in my opinion, and she's only won one fight in the UFC. She lost against Amanda Lemos, but Amanda Lemos is a monster. We all know that. And then she lost against Jacqueline Amorim. So she lost back-to-back knockout losses. And this girl, Eduarda Moura, can finish girls. She can finish fights. And she's going to be my pick. I think she's going to win this fight pretty damn easily. And I think she's going to put Montserrat Conejo Ruiz away inside the distance, either by knockout, TKO, or submission. Eduardo Moura is going to win this fight. She's going to stay undefeated, and she's going to be someone to look out for, even though I said I don't care about this fight because I really don't. But Eduardo Moura, more than likely, 9 out of 10 times, is going to win that fight. And probably might put in that parlay that I was talking about with Onama. Moura and Onama. There you go. Hopefully you get a good line for that parlay. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen. Angela Hill versus Denise Gomes, scheduled in the women's strawweight division. Angela Hill, she's 15 and 3, 38 years old, 5'3", 64.5-inch reach. Denise Gomes, she is 8 and 2, 23 years old, 5'2", with a 63-inch reach. Angela Hill, she's been in the UFC for a long, long time. She's fought everyone in the UFC, and she's ranked. She's top 15 in the women's strawweight division. She did lose her last fight against Mackenzie Dern, but that was a close fight. Angela Hill is always in a close fight. She's tough as nails, and all her fights pretty much go to decision. It's pretty tough to finish her. Denise Gomes, she's been in the UFC for about a year now, but she's won her last two UFC fights, and they were by knockout TKO, which is very impressive. So we know that Denise Gomes has power. She's a good fighter, great striker. Angela Hill is the veteran. She has more experience and has fought the tougher competition. But my gut and my heart has to go with the younger, fresher fighter to continue her winning streak. Denise Gomes is probably going to win this fight, and then she's going to be ranked in the women's strawweight division. She's someone to look out for. She might fight for a championship one day. She does have aspirations to become a champion, in my opinion, and I think she's gonna get there one day. And if she can finish Angela Hill, then that's really impressive. Because, like I said, not many people finish Angela Hill. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's welterweight division, we have Elizeu Zaleski versus Rinat Fakhretdinov. Elizeu Zaleski, he's 24 and 7, 36 years old, 5'11", 73-inch reach. Rinat Fakhretdinov, he's 22 and 2, 32 years old, 6 foot even, with a 74-inch reach. This is going to be a fight, very interesting fight right here. Both guys are on a winning streak, right? And this dude, Elizeu Zaleski, has beaten Benoit Saint Denis, which is a very extremely good look because we know Benoit Saint Denis is no joke. And I believe he's on this card or the next card, if I'm not mistaken. But then he won his last fight against Abubakar Nurmagomedov in a split decision. But he's going against Rinat Fakhretdinov, and Rinat was my lock of the card a couple months ago. And I might make him my lock of the card again on this card for UFC Fight Night, Almeida versus Lewis. Rinat is no freaking joke. The dude is a freaking problem. He's got good wrestling. He's got good power. He's got good striking, good cardio. Elizeu is pretty good himself. He's got more experience because he's had more fights than Rinat. But Rinat is on a tear. He's on a winning streak right here. He finished Kevin Lee like it was nothing. Made it look easy. He won against Brian Battle. I mean, we know Brian Battle is a freaking problem. He's really good, so that's a good win. He hasn't lost in the UFC. But Elizeu Zaleski has lost in the UFC. And I think he's going to lose this fight against Rinat. So give me Rinat Fakhretdinov to win inside the distance, knockout, TKO, or submission. Pretty damn confident in that pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is a certified banger. And I think this fight might not go the distance. Both of these fighters go at it. Both of these fighters are straight junkyard dogs, and they will fight for your money. Scheduled in the men's lightweight division, we got Elves Brener versus Esteban Ribovics. Elves Brener, he's 15 and 3, 26 years old, 5'10", with a 72-inch reach. Esteban Revics. He is 12-1, 27 years old, 5'10", with a 69-inch reach. Both of these guys are prospects. Both of these guys are very young, and they're very good fighters. Especially Elvis Brener. He's on a 4-fight winning streak. And I faded him in the last fight against Guram Kutalatse. I'm pretty sure a lot of people picked Guram in that fight to win. But he knocked him out. I cannot believe it. He also won against Subaira Tukagov. Another impressive victory. So he's won all of his UFC fights so far. Esteban Rebics, he won against Kamala Kirk, and he won against Loic Radshakbov. I mean, he lost against Loitz. So, give me Elvin Brenner. I think he's going to get it done. I think he's going to continue his winning streak. He's someone to look out for, ladies and gentlemen. He's a very good fighter. He's still young, and he comes from Chute, Box Diego Lima. That's where Charles Oliveira trains. All those guys are very good strikers and very good submission artists. Give me Elvis Brenner to win this fight inside the distance. I love Elvis Brenner in this fight, so I'm pretty confident. Let's go. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's light heavyweight division, we have Vitor Petrino versus Modestas Bukauskas. Vitor Petrino, he's undefeated at 9-0, 26 years old, 6'2", with a 77-inch reach. Modestas Bukauskas, he's 15-5, 29 years old, 6'3", 78-inch reach. This is another scrappy, ugly fight right here, ladies and gentlemen. Someone might get knocked out. Vitor Petrino has a ton of power. He's undefeated. He's a young prospect in this division, 26 years old. He's won his last fight against Marcin Pacquiao by submission. He also won against Anton Turkali, and he knocked out Rodolfo Bellado by knockout TKO in a Contender Series fight. Modestas Bukauskas won his last two UFC fights, Tyson Pedro in a decision win, and also Zach Pauga. Who knows? This fight might go to decision because both of these guys are tough. Both of these guys are warriors. But I expect Vitor Petrino to win this fight. Maybe by knockout or decision. I do see Vitor Petrino getting his hand raised at the end of this fight. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is on the main card. We have finally made it to the main card. There is 14 scheduled fights for UFC Fight Night, Almeida versus Lewis. Before I get to the main card picks, before I give you my picks right here, make sure to like the video, ladies and gentlemen. Do me a huge favor right now. Like the video and subscribe. Show your boy support. CJUFCPicks. I'm everywhere. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Just type it in. CJUFCPicks. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the men's middleweight division. We have Caio Borralho versus Abus Magomedov, or Anis, as I like to call him, Magomedov. Caio Borralho. He's 14-1, 30 years old, 6'1", with a 75-inch reach. Then we got Anis Magomedov. He's 25-5-1, 33 years old, 6'2", with a 78-inch reach. This is another scrappy fight, ladies and gentlemen. This fight might end before the judges call it. Caio Borralho, he is on a tear. He has not lost one of his UFC fights. He's won every single one of them. He made Michael Oleksiejczuk look like nothing. Submitted him very easily. He's only 30 years old, so he's still young. He's still in his prime, and he still has a chance to be something in the UFC. Anis Magomedov, he lost to the current champion, Sean Strickland, the current middleweight champion. He was on a little winning streak before his loss, but he only had one UFC fight, and that was against Dustin Stoltzfus, who's not in the UFC anymore, and he's not that good. That's why he's not in the UFC anymore. That's why he got cut. I think Caio Borralho has this in the bag. I think Caio Borralho is going to finish him by submission here. He's going to take him down like nothing and submit his ass. Caio Borralho is a beast. He might be a future champion. He's someone to look out for in the UFC middleweight division. And I might make him my lock of the card. And speaking of my lock of the card, if you want to know who my official lock of the card is, go over to my TikTok, go over to my Twitter, go over to my Instagram. Just type it in, CJUFCPicks. Give me a follow, give me a like, and subscribe. Caio Borralho is going to win this fight. Pretty damn confident in that pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be another banger. This is going to be a very good fight. We got Ismael Bonfim versus Vince Pichel. Ismael Bonfim, he's 19 and 4, 27 years old, 5'8", 71-inch reach. Then we got Vince Pichel, 14 and 3, 40 years old, almost 41 years old, ladies and gentlemen. I hadn't realized how old this guy was. 5'10" with a 72-inch reach. Damn, man. Ismael Bonfim did lose his last fight against Benoit Saint Denis, but we all know, like I said, Benoit Saint Denis ain't no joke. He's a very good fighter, so that's an excusable loss. But he did win against Terrence McKinney. We all know Terrence McKinney can be wishy-washy. And then he won against Naramin Abusov in his Contender Series fight. But Ismael Bonfim is a very good fighter, and I think he can get it done against a almost 41-year-old Vince Pichel. Even though he was on a winning streak before his last loss. He won against Roosevelt Roberts, he won against Jim Miller, he won against Austin Hubbard, and then he lost to the Olympian Marc Madsen. I think Ismael Bonfim is going to be much faster, much quicker, better cardio, better striking, and I think he's going to win this fight. I think he's going to win this fight. And I think he's going to go to a decision. I think Vince Pichel is tough enough to go to a decision. Maybe he gets a submission or a knockout, but I doubt it. Ismael Bonfim to win this fight. And that's my pick. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is another banger fight. Scheduled in the men's middleweight division. I really like this fight. This is going to be a really good fight. I like both of these fighters. Rodolfo Vieira versus Armen Petrosian. Got it in my eye. Rodolfo Vieira, he's 9 and 2, 34 years old, 6 foot even, 73-inch reach. Armen Petrosian, he's 8 and 2, 33 years old, 6 foot 3, with a 71-inch reach. This is going to be a very good fight, very close fight. This should go back and forth. This might be a pick'em. I have not seen the lines for this fight at all, or any fight for that matter. So I don't know who the underdogs are. I don't know who the locks are. I'm just assuming. But I have to go with Armen Petrosian. I think he's just going to be a little bit more powerful, quicker, more technical. And Petrosian is riding a 2-fight winning streak, which is impressive. Sorry if I'm crying. It's because I got the smoke in my eyes. I don't gotta apologize right there, ladies and gentlemen. But give me Armen Petrosian to win by decision, because Rodolfo Vieira is dangerous on the ground. So if this goes to the ground, I might be worried for that pick. I might be worried if you're betting Armen Petrosian. So I might stay away money line wise. I might just enjoy this fight as a fan. But to give you a pick, I'm going with Armin Petrosian and possibly by decision. Next fight, ladies and gentlemen, scheduled in the heavyweight division, we got Rodrigo Nascimento versus Dontel Mays. Rodrigo Nascimento, he's 10 and 1, 30 years old, 6 foot 2 with a 80-inch reach. Dontel Mays, he's 10 and 5, 31 years old, 6 foot 6, 81-inch reach. And I think this is going to be an easy fight to call. Dontel Mays isn't that good. He's not good at all. To me, he's probably not even UFC worthy. But he did win his last fight. He won against an old ass Andre Arlovski. I mean, you really can't celebrate that one because Andre Arlovski is like what, 45 years old. He lost against Augusto Sakai, and he went to a split decision to Hamdi. Hamdi sucks, man. Rodrigo Nascimento, riding a two-fight winning streak, went to a split decision with Tanner Bozer, and then went to another split. This is gonna go to a split decision. That's gonna be my pick. That's gonna be my prediction. Rodrigo Nascimento to win by split decision. But for real, give me Rodrigo Nascimento to win this fight. I think he's the much better fighter. Dontel Mays is not that great, but I'm staying far, far away from that fight, and you should too. The next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is the co-main event of the evening for UFC Fight Night. Almeida versus Lewis, scheduled in the men's welterweight division. We have Gabriel Bonfim versus Nicholas Dalby. Gabriel Bonfim, he's undefeated at 15 and 0, 26 years old, 6 foot 1, 72-inch reach. Nicholas Dalby, he's 22 4 and 1, 38 years old, 5 foot 11, 74.5-inch reach. Both of these gentlemen are riding a winning streak, especially Gabriel Bonfim. He's undefeated, 15 and 0, so 15 wins in a row. And he hasn't lost a UFC fight since he entered the UFC from the Contender Series. He won against Trey Waters there. Then he got a win against Manor Lazez. And then he also got a win against Trevin Giles. Nicholas Dalby is the veteran in this fight. He's got the more experience. He's fought the tougher competition. He's on a 3-fight winning streak, winning against Claudio Silva by decision, winning a split decision win against Wally Elves, and then he got another decision win against Muslim Solikov. This is where Gabriel Bonfim proves who he is. This is where Gabriel Bonfim proves that he's good. This is a really big step up for Gabriel Bonfim. Like I said, Nicholas Dalby is the veteran in this fight. He still got it even though he's almost 39 years old. So he is aging, right? He's not going to be as fast as Gabriel Bonfim. Gabriel Bonfim definitely has the speed advantage. He's got the height advantage. And he's got the youth advantage. Dalby, the only thing he's got is probably better wrestling and definitely the more experience, right? I gotta go with the younger, fresher fighter who's undefeated. He's the better of the Bonfim brothers. Give me Gabriel Bonfim to win by submission. His last 3 wins, or his last 4 wins, have been by submission. So give me another submission victory for Gabriel Bonfim against Nicholas Dalby. And this is going to be a very good close fight. And like I said, this is where Gabriel Bonfim proves that he's good and that he's ready for top competition. The next fight, ladies and gentlemen, is a certified banger. This fight is not 100% not going the distance. I'll tell you what. If this fight goes to a decision, I will stop doing breakdowns. I will stop doing picks, and I'll stop doing videos. I'll cancel my YouTube. That's how confident I am that this fight is not going the distance. We got two heavyweights that waste no time and going for the finish. We got Geltane Almeida versus Derek Lewis. Geltane Almeida, he's 19 and 2, 32 years old, 6'3", 79-inch reach. Derek Lewis, 27 and 11, 38 years old, 6'3", with a 79-inch reach. Both gentlemen are virtually identical. And before I give you my pick, before I give you the breakdown, make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe. CJUFCPicks. Do your boy a favor. Show your boy support. It only takes 2 seconds, literally 2 seconds, to hit the like button and literally 2 seconds to subscribe. I appreciate all the subscribers and I appreciate you for tuning in. Thank you so very much. Here's the breakdown and here's my pick for this fight. Geltane Almeida, he is someone to look out for in this heavyweight division. He's a problem. He finishes all of his fights in the UFC. He's on a tear. Derek Lewis, he did finish his last fight against Marcos Rogerio de Lima, and I made Derek Lewis my dog of the card. I could not believe he was my dog of the card that fight. He did a flying knee. Nobody suspected that out of him. But before that, he was on a 3-fight losing streak. He lost against Sergey Spivak, he lost against Sergey Pavlovich, and then he lost against Tai Tuivasa. So I think he's going to lose this fight, unfortunately. I love Derek Lewis. He's a great fighter. He's a legend in the UFC. He's got the most knockouts in the heavyweight division. But Geltane Almeida is a problem. And if this fight goes to the ground, it is over. I know that Derek Lewis has a good get-up game. And I know Derek Lewis is a little hard to take down. But Geltane Almeida is a problem. The dude is a beast. I think he's going to get a finish in this fight, either by submission or ground and pound. Something like that. This fight is not going a distance whatsoever. This is a 5-round fight, a 5-round heavyweight fight. That's why I'm telling you guys, this fight is not going the distance. I guarantee it, and I'll throw it in all your parlays. Even the under 4.5 rounds, I'm pretty damn confident in. Geltane Almeida is going to win this fight. He's my pick. He might be my lock of the card. And if you want to find out who my lock of the card is and my dog of the card for UFC Fight Night Almeida versus Lewis, go over to my TikTok, go over to my Instagram, go over to my Twitter, follow me on there. CJUFCPicks, the smoke sesh, always smoking that fire weed, giving you fire picks each and every single week. We appreciate you tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. And we hope you subscribe and like the video. Thank you so much for joining CJUFC Picks. Have a great night, folks. Let's make some money.